Hi guys, welcome to ANIMEized. This is the English translated version of the novel Throne of Seal. The novel differs slightly from the Chinese animation or donghua. If you want more of these videos, please smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. Enjoy and have a blessed day.
The green light floated in the air, gradually forming a green light gate. A slender, white, barefooted little foot stepped out. Stepping out from the light gate, the green light rippled, the tender white foot touched the ground, and a delicately adorned young girl appeared before the light gate. Light blue hair was styled into two small braids swaying on either side of her head, her rosy cheeks slightly chubby. Even when she frowned, she still looked adorable. "Is it you?" "Yue Ye," exclaimed. She certainly recognized who this little girl was. Back then, she and a group of demon god heirs, led by Ah Bao, suffered a major setback at the hands of this little girl. Later she vaguely knew. This little girl was not only Ah Bao's target, but also the target of the demon god emperor. However, Ah Bao didn't reveal the secrets to her. XiaoLei waved her hand in front of her nose. "Hateful dark aura, stay away from me. Even though you're with him, I still don't like you." While saying this, she ignored Yue Ye, and just squatted down beside Long HaoChen. Looking at Long HaoChen's current condition, XiaoLei's frown deepened involuntarily. The benefits of being a son of light are obvious, but the disadvantages are equally obvious. Getting himself into this state for no reason, and making me come to this annoying place, it's really annoying. Even though she said that, her hands were already in motion. Her small hands gently pressed on Long HaoChen's chest, and a soft green light halo emanated from her palms. In just a few breaths' time, Long HaoChen's whole body was enveloped in a faint green full of vitality. XiaoLei's small fingers gently moved rhythmically. After a brief moment of contemplation, she carefully flipped Long HaoChen's body over, with his back facing up. As her hands lightly pressed on the collapsed back of Long HaoChen, her expression became focused. A dense green light spread, a strong breath of life conflicting with the death aura in the Tower of Eternity. However, the powerful death aura in the Tower of Eternity was dispersed within a certain range by the release of the life breath. XiaoLei was kneeling on the ground, and at this moment, her round little buttocks gently lifted, her back slightly arched, and her palms slowly lifted. Suddenly, it was clear to see. Long HaoChen's originally collapsed back actually began to rise again, and the dense green light continued to pour into his body. The entire process proceeded slowly, but it was very effective, and watching, Long HaoChen's back gradually returned to its normal position. XiaoLei lifted her hands again. Strands of green light rippled at her fingertips, as if she were constantly stitching into Long HaoChen's body, and the faint sound of bones touching echoed in Long HaoChen's body. With every finger landing on Long HaoChen, his body would tremble slightly. Her movements became more and more intricate, as if she were weaving a piece of clothing with green threads, green light shimmering, causing Yue Ye to be momentarily dazzled. The process continued for nearly a quarter of an hour, and XiaoLei's movements gradually slowed down. Finally, her palms gently rested on Long HaoChen's back, massaging his back for a while. Then she sighed, turned his body back over, with the front facing up. Yue Ye had been carefully observing Long HaoChen's condition, and after XiaoLei's treatment, Long HaoChen's chest had begun to show clear signs of movement, indicating that his life was no longer in danger. This also made her secretly breathe a sigh of relief. With Long HaoChen being revived by XiaoLei, Yue Ye's thoughts also began to turn. Long HaoChen had suffered such severe injuries, which could only mean one thing, that Ah Bao had laid hands on him. But she was still in Long HaoChen's hands. How would Ah Bao be able to save herself? Yue Ye, who was originally clever as ice and snow, has now realized something. A hint of bitterness appears in her heart, and she doesn't want to think about it anymore, but the answer has already clearly appeared in her mind. XiaoLei's treatment is still ongoing, after healing Long HaoChen's nearly fatal back injuries. The second target is his shoulder. This time, because it's an external injury. Yue Ye clearly sees that, under the movement of XiaoLei's 10 fingers, strands of green light connect to Long HaoChen's broken bones, muscles, and meridians, as if creating a work of art. Slowly piecing his bones together, as well as muscles and meridians, the soft green light is the best adhesive, and in just a moment, the wound has closed, restoring to its original state. There's not even a trace of a scar. After the shoulders, it's the legs. After healing Long HaoChen's right leg, XiaoLei massages his whole body again. Throughout the process, Yue Ye's most noticeable sensation is the continuous infusion of rich vitality into Long HaoChen's body, stimulating his innate potential and replenishing the life force he consumed. Although Yue Ye doesn't know much about human priests, she can be sure that even the most powerful human priest cannot heal Long HaoChen's injuries in such a short time. And it seems there won't be any lingering effects. This healing ability derived from the breath of nature is truly unique. Perhaps it's the only one of its kind. What exactly happened in Dream Paradise? How could she tear through space and arrive by Long HaoChen's side? Just as Yue Ye is surprised, the somewhat tired XiaoLei lifts her right hand, pointing a finger at Long HaoChen's forehead. "Hey, it's time to wake up, you've worn me out." A soft grunt comes from Long HaoChen's mouth. and his body trembles slightly before slowly opening his eyes. Regaining consciousness, Long HaoChen feels a warm and inexplicable restraint all over his body, yet he can't exert any strength. A little pink face with a bit of tiredness appeared in front of him, and a chubby little hand waves in front of his eyes. "Hey, are you acting silly? It took me so much effort. If you were silly, I would have been at a loss. Is it you? How did you get here? Did you save me?" Long HaoChen stares blankly at XiaoLei, and his thoughts gradually recover, struggling to sit up, but unable to exert any strength. "Of course I saved you. Who else would do it? Hey, don't move. Your injuries are too severe. You need to lie down for at least 12 hours to avoid after effects. You're really silly, preferring to die than returning to this annoying place first. But your silliness is kind of cute. Where's Cai Er?" Long HaoChen asks eagerly. XiaoLei looks speechless and says, "Don't you want to thank me, your lifesaver, first? Are you really that silly? Thank you, Cai Er." XiaoLei looks defeated, moves aside, and points to behind her. "Isn't she right there?" Long HaoChen looks in the direction of her finger, and indeed, Cai Er is standing silently here. However, at this moment, Cai Er's body moves slightly. Her originally dull eyes regain vitality. "Cai Er," Long HaoChen calls out softly. XiaoLei naturally notices Cai Er's change. Oh, she's awake too. Cai Er's stiff body gradually relaxes, but her eyes, now full of vigor, are also filled with confusion. She looks at the lying Long HaoChen, then at XiaoLei and Yue Ye beside her. Suddenly, a cold aura is released from her. "Be careful," XiaoLei exclaims, quickly pouncing on Long HaoChen, rolling with his body to the side in an instant. In the next instant, a gray light flashes, and with a light sound, a huge scythe ruthlessly cuts into the ground. It's like cutting through tofu. XiaoLei's body, so petite, rolling out with Long HaoChen in her arms, looks somewhat comical. But now, no one is in the mood to laugh. "Stop, are you insane?" XiaoLei raises her hand. A green barrier appears in front of Cai Er, pushing her body back several meters. However, the terrifying giant scythe in Cai Er's hand only moved slightly. The green barrier then shattered into pieces. The cold voice filled with killing intent. "Who are you? People?" Cai Er's sudden attack also startled Yue Ye, who quickly ran to the side. XiaoLei angrily said, "Are you crazy? Don't you recognize him?" Cai Er hesitated, looked at Long HaoChen and shook her head lightly. "I certainly don't know him. Who am I?" The confusion in her eyes deepened, but fortunately, the killing intent in her diminished. XiaoLei angrily said, "He's your man. He sacrificed so much for you, almost lost his life. You actually say you don't know him? Have you no humanity?" Cai Er's gaze became even more vacant, looking down at herself, and at the huge scythe in her hand, then at the three people in front of her. "But I really don't know who I am. Are you deceiving me? Liars deserve to die." As she spoke, she lifted the scythe in her hand again. Cai Er, what's happening to you?" Long HaoChen urgently exclaimed, his eyes filled with anxiety. When Cai Er's gaze met his for a moment, the scythe in Cai Er's hand paused, but ultimately didn't swing again. I seem to really know you. You shouldn't be a bad person." Cai Er's cold voice softened slightly, always gazing into Long HaoChen's eyes, as if trying to recall something. But she quickly covered her head with both hands, let out a painful moan, and even the huge scythe disappeared in the next moment. "Cai Er, what's happening to you?" Long HaoChen couldn't have anticipated that Cai Er would undergo such changes after waking up. She doesn't recognize herself, and it seems she has forgotten who she is. XiaoLei also stood stunned, murmuring, "Could it be amnesia? What's going on here?" After a full minute, Cai Er gradually calmed down. When her gaze returned to Long HaoChen, there was a hint of panic that deeply touched Long HaoChen's heart. "Who am I? And who are you? Why can't I remember anything?" The corner of XiaoLei's mouth twitched. "Look at this. He sacrificed so much for you. You actually forgot about him." As she spoke, she lifted her small hand, and a green light screen appeared in front of Cai Er. The center of the screen twisted slightly, gradually showing a scene. The screen was about a meter in diameter, and a clear image gradually appeared in the center. In that image, Long HaoChen and Cai Er appeared clearly in the center, the scene of them being besieged by demons. In the image, every move Long HaoChen made was precise and decisive, without any hesitation, repeatedly using his body to shield Cai Er in difficult situations. Even just watching this image, one could feel the continuous depletion of Long HaoChen's damaged body. However, Cai Er, protected in the center, didn't suffer any harm, even under the siege of many demon powerhouses. The only one injured was Long HaoChen. The images changed quickly, but this short recording was incredibly shocking. Cai Er's gaze remained vacant, but now with less coldness and fear. She murmured to herself, Is that me? Is that really me? Who am I?" Another person more shocked than her was Yue Ye. Watching the brutal scenes in the image, she finally understood how the young knight was so severely injured completely for the sake of protecting her, not only her life, but also protecting her during the peculiar enlightenment process. He even sacrificed his own life for her. If it weren't for XiaoLei's timely arrival, he might not have died, but he would be severely injured, possibly even crippled for life. A man willing to go to such lengths for a woman needs no further proof. On the other hand, she also saw Ah Bao in the image, fiercely attacking, attempting to kill them all. Yue Ye really wanted to ask what Ah Bao was thinking when attacking Long HaoChen and the others. What was on his mind? Her face turned pale, a hint of coldness in her. Despair, as her gaze fell on Cai Er, a genuine envy surfaced in her eyes, even a hint of jealousy. If I had known him earlier, no matter what I had to sacrifice, I would have definitely captured his heart. But now, seeing the tender look in his eyes, only in hers, Yue Ye didn't even have the courage to fight for anything. As the light faded, Cai Er still stood there, repeating those simple words, her eyes becoming increasingly anxious. Long HaoChen was completely immobilized now, or else he would have rushed to hold her, comforting her frightened heart, even if it meant being cut by her massive scythe. XiaoLei jumped up. Hey, do you understand? He's your man. If you don't want him, there are plenty of girls who will for sure. Cai Er, however, ignored her completely, just standing there blankly, murmuring those few words. XiaoLei, what's happening to Cai Er? Long HaoChen asked urgently. XiaoLei looked back at him and sighed. I don't know. During the awakening of the god's descendant, she is supposed to undergo a mental awakening. Though she has absorbed all the awakening power, it seems there's an issue with the mental awakening process. It stimulated her brain, causing a temporary memory loss. Can you help her recover? Long HaoChen asked hastily. XiaoLei shrugged and said, I'm not a god, and even if I were, I'm not all powerful. The human brain has a complex structure, and each person's mental world is unique. I can heal your physical injuries, but mental and brain injuries are related to the soul. Even a necromancer can't heal her, unless she's killed, and her soul is separated, then maybe a necromancer might have a chance. Long HaoChen asked in surprise. So Cai Er can't recover at all? XiaoLei said. Of course not. In known magic, there's no way to erase human memories, unless both the soul and life are erased. It shows how deeply human memories are imprinted in the soul, so her memories haven't disappeared, but a barrier formed by the change in mental power during the awakening of the god's descendant has blocked them. It's like the bottlenecks you encounter in your training. Once this barrier is broken through, her memories will naturally fully recover. Human barriers in cultivation require continuous enlightenment and practice to break through. But her barrier depends on your kindness towards her, relying on you to awaken her memories. Only then can the barrier be broken. Talk to her more about the things that happened between you, especially those that left a deep impression on her. And something that moved her. It might help, but considering her condition, it's quite serious. Don't rush it. Let her accept your presence first. Well, let me help you a bit more. Letting her sleep for a while might help. While saying this, XiaoLei gently blew towards Cai Er. A faint green mist wafted towards Cai Er. Cai Er's frightened expression gradually calmed down. The scent of the green mist seemed pleasant to her. After taking a few gentle breaths, her eyes became gradually hazy, and she slowly collapsed to the ground, falling asleep. Thank you, XiaoLei. This life-saving grace will be forever remembered, Long HaoChen said solemnly, aware of the severity of his injuries, acknowledging that healing him must have required a lot of effort from XiaoLei. Despite not being one to praise others easily, he acknowledged the debt of gratitude. It would be deeply imprinted in his heart. XiaoLei had helped them more than once, and he remembered the promise he made to her in Dream Paradise. XiaoLei replied without much sentiment. No need for thanks, it's our deal. But in the future, be more careful. If you face a fatal blow, I might not be able to help. I'm leaving. The death aura here is annoying, but I have to admit that Death Mage must have been terrifying during his life. Don't forget our agreement. Long HaoChen nodded and said, I promise to keep it. Anyway, thank you. He no longer saw XiaoLei as a little girl. The girl from Dream Paradise was not only intelligent, but also possessed wisdom beyond her years. XiaoLei seemed to suddenly remember something, and said seriously, Your strength has improved quickly, and I'm satisfied with that. However, there's one thing you must remember. This necromancer, though extremely rare in light attribute, his heritage is not suitable for you. In his power, there is a tremendous resentment, something you can't endure. If you inherit his legacy, you might be influenced by this resentment, turning into another version of him in the near future. This is something beyond your control. So, while training in this necromancer tower is fine, never go to the top floor. In other words, never attempt to reach the pinnacle of the tower. Long HaoChen asked in confusion, Is there no way to resolve this resentment? XiaoLei shook her head and replied, At least not by you, your affinity with him. If you inherit his power, even the goddess of light won't be able to save you. His resentment runs deep in the soul. Speaking of resolution, your girlfriend, who lost her memory, is more suitable. Her innate ability from inheriting the power of the death god is resolution. However, he chose you, and that can't be changed. Just listen to me, I won't harm you. Anyway, I'm leaving. Remember my words. As she spoke, XiaoLei pointed to the void, and a green light gate appeared. With a step, she entered the gate, and her figure disappeared into the green light. Long HaoChen watched the diminishing green light with gratitude and worry. A flash of gratitude flashed in his eyes, but that was soon replaced by worry. Cai Er had lost her memory. His heart immediately became confused, and even XiaoLei couldn't help her. She probably has to rely on herself to recover. Yue Ye, please help me sit properly. Long HaoChen said to Yue Ye not far away. Due to his concern for Cai Er, he didn't notice Yue Ye's unusual emotions. When Yue Ye heard Long HaoChen's voice, her body trembled slightly, and subconsciously she came to his side, helping him sit cross-legged. Didn't that little girl tell you to rest well? What are you going to do? Yue Ye asked in confusion. Long HaoChen smiled bitterly. Cai Er lost her memory, and I must recover quickly, or how can I take care of her? Don't worry, once my strength is restored, I'll take you back and let you leave. However, I'm worried about the restrictions Cai Er placed on you. I don't have a way to remove them, but I'll help her regain her memory as soon as possible and completely lift those restrictions for you. Yue Ye shook her head and said, No need. The restrictions are already lifted. When you brought her back, I noticed the restrictions inside me had disappeared. It's probably related to her own awakening. Long HaoChen, when you first entered the demon territory with my Moonlit Night merchant group, you saved my life. However, over these years, I've provided considerable help to you. I believe it's enough to repay that favor. From now on, we have no more connections. Don't bother me in the future. With your current abilities, you can enter the demon territory without the help of my merchant group. Yue Ye's voice became colder as she spoke, and in the end, it was as if winter had arrived. Her voice reflected her current mood. She couldn't understand why her mood was so bad. Her intentions weren't like this, but she unconsciously spoke these heartless words. Was it an escape, or something else? Long HaoChen frowned, and after a moment of thought, he said, What if we want to buy information from you in the future? He indeed didn't want to force Yue Ye anymore, since they became the demon hunting squad. Yue Ye has been one of their most significant assets in the demon territory. Losing her intelligence would make the demon hunting squad's life much harder. A touch of sadness flashed in Yue Ye's eyes, and she thought to herself, so, in his eyes, I'm just a tool to be used. Yes, I'm a demon, the daughter of the moon demon god. Apart from being used, what else could there be? Sure, but my information comes at a price. Yue Ye said coldly. Long HaoChen nodded slightly, not saying anything more. His thoughts were now on Cai Er, who had lost her memory. Yue Ye suddenly said, Did Ah Bao order the attack on you? A complex expression flashed in her eyes. Long HaoChen nodded. Yue Ye said, I want to know the details of what happened back then. I'll exchange it for some information you care about. Long HaoChen finally noticed that Yue Ye's emotions were off. What's wrong with you? Are you feeling uncomfortable? Don't mind your business. Yue Ye couldn't control her emotions, and there was a hint of choking in her throat. Long HaoChen sighed softly, softly comforting. Don't overthink it. He's different from me, as the demon prince, the heir to the demon god emperor. Many times, he has to think for the sake of the demon race. At that time, Cai Er's awakening as a divine consort worried him, so he ordered the attack on us. Yue Ye looked at Long HaoChen in a daze. Are you defending your mortal enemy? Long HaoChen was also slightly stunned. Smiling bitterly, he shook his head and said, He is my mortal enemy, but you are my friend. I just hope you feel better. But I'm ashamed for always using restrictions to threaten you. Now that the restrictions are lifted, at least there won't be any barriers between us. Do you really consider me a friend? Yue Ye stared into Long HaoChen's eyes. Long HaoChen nodded and said, As long as you don't participate in killing humans, I'll consider you a friend. A lot of the darkness in her heart suddenly cleared, and a sweet smile reappeared on Yue Ye's face. Good, we are friends. In the future I'll give you a discount on the information I sell. Seeing her mood improve, Long HaoChen couldn't help but smile. Is that a discount on my left leg, or my right leg? Yue Ye chuckled and said, So you can be dishonest too. Actually, you're not a good person. Long HaoChen was stunned for a moment. What's wrong? Yue Ye snorted and said, I'm not telling you. Hurry up and cultivate. Long HaoChen smiled slightly, closed his eyes, feeling the condition of his body. He began to cultivate in the most conservative way. Watching his expression gradually become calm, Yue Ye's gaze became somewhat infatuated, and in her heart, she thought, Your flaw is that you have no flaws. Otherwise, how could I be gradually influenced by you? What? Austin Griffin and Long HaoChen are together. Or is he his mount? The demon god emperor sat on his throne, and in front of him stood the pale-faced Ah Bao. Bang! The dragon head on the armrest of the throne was directly crushed by the demon god emperor's excessive force, bursting into powder. The demon god emperor's breathing became somewhat rapid, and his handsome face even became somewhat distorted. A fierce killing intent surged like a tide. Even Ah Bao, with his strong physique, couldn't withstand the terrifying killing intent of the demon god emperor. He grunted, and took several steps back, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Only then did the demon god emperor realize he had lost control. And with a raise of his hand, a purple-black light entered Ah Bao's body. His complexion instantly improved. Ah Bao was no less shocked than his father at this moment, witnessing his father lose control like this for the first time. In fact, even he doesn't know what kind of existence Austin Griffin is, and this secret seems to be known only to true demon gods. Demon God Emperor descended from his throne, striding back and forth in the spacious hall, his black eyes gradually turning red unconsciously. His breath much heavier than usual. The spiritual power on his body was fluctuating unstably. His unpredictable expression was like a volcano about to erupt at any moment. Ah Bao dared not make a sound, nor did he dare to offer any suggestions. In this state, Demon God Emperor, even a top 10 demon god would likely be breathless facing him. The powerful aura would make the entire demon capital tremble. After walking for almost half an hour, Demon God Emperor finally stopped, and said in a deep voice, "Huang Shuo. Here." In the darkness, the tall figure of Huang Shuo quietly appeared, kneeling down on one knee. Demon God Emperor coldly commanded, "Convey my orders, summon the Moon Demon God Agars, the Star Demon God Sashak, the Death Demon God Samijina, and the Hell Demon God Malbashi to the Demon Emperor's palace for a meeting." "Yes, Your Majesty." Huang Shuo respectfully agreed with a nod, then turned and left immediately. Ah Bao had already knelt to the ground completely due to the terrifying pressure from his father. His heart was filled with shock. Demon God Emperor summoned the second, third, fourth, and fifth pillars of the demon god to discuss matters together, which was extremely rare. Although Austin Griffin's strength is decent, is it worth the Demon God Emperor doing this? However, he dared not ask. As the Demon God Emperor was truly terrifying at this moment, Long HaoChen's recovery is difficult. As XiaoLei mentioned, he was previously injured too severely, affecting his essence. Although XiaoLei had treated him with all her strength, the injuries were healed, but the self-exhaustion couldn't recover so quickly, and it required some time of rest. But Long HaoChen didn't dare to give himself any rest time, especially when Cai Er had such a significant issue. He felt full of self-blame, and he had to use all his energy to take care of Cai Er. The soft and limp feeling all over the body couldn't be described as comfortable for anyone, but Long HaoChen could feel spiritual power inside him. Yet the spiritual power completely dispersed throughout his limbs and bones, and he could only gather these spiritual powers bit by bit, unprecedented difficulties, and the crucial point was the intense weakness that made it difficult for him to concentrate. However, Long HaoChen was, after all, a divine guardian, with control over his possessed attributes far surpassing those of the same level. After attempting for some time and finding it challenging to gather spiritual power, he came up with a creative method. Instead of mobilizing those spiritual powers, he decided to stimulate them. He carefully stimulated every point of light element within his body, causing the light element's aura to emanate. In this way, the aura of light elements could better fill his body. At first, the effect was not very noticeable, as the light elements were stimulated by his mental power, only appearing slightly brighter than before. However, as the stimulated light elements increased, he began to feel warmth spreading throughout his body. Muscles, meridians, organs, and bones, under the influence of this increasingly warm breath, began to revive and regenerate. This undoubtedly greatly accelerated his recovery speed. Long HaoChen was indeed clever, and his unintentional discovery quickly led to an understanding. Although it couldn't be considered magic, it could be regarded as a form of self-healing, significantly enhancing his self-recovery and healing speed. Of course, this method is not suitable for everyone, as there are two prerequisites for its use. Firstly, one's mental power must be strong enough, capable of finely controlling every subtle light element, and secondly, there's the issue of attributes. If it were Lin Sin, stimulating the fire element would likely cause self-harm. It seems that only light and water attributes are more suitable for this self-healing method. And as for the name, Long HaoChen didn't bother thinking too much about it. He simply called it light therapy. Under the effect of light therapy, a golden aura gradually emanated from Long HaoChen's body, undoubtedly accelerating the absorption of light elements and his body's recovery. According to XiaoLei, just the recovery of his physical functions would take 12 hours, but when he truly practiced for 12 hours, not only did his physical functions recover, but even his spiritual power recovered more than 70%. Through cultivation, Long HaoChen discovered that when he was absorbing light elements to refine spiritual power, it first gathered in the spiritual aperture at his chest, while the spiritual apertures at his brow and lower abdomen remained inactive. It seemed that they had to wait for the spiritual aperture at the chest to fill with spiritual power before the other two spiritual apertures could gather spiritual power. However, the inability to store didn't mean they couldn't assist in absorbing and refining. The other two spiritual apertures also performed the same function as the chest's spiritual aperture during Long HaoChen's cultivation, but they absorbed light elements to refine spiritual power at a much slower rate than the chest aperture. The specific operation of the spiritual apertures still needs to be explored through continuous cultivation in the future. However, at this moment, Long HaoChen didn't have much time, because Cai Er had already awakened from her slumber. Although Long HaoChen had been cultivating all along, his mind was entirely focused on Cai Er. and the moment Cai Er showed signs of awakening, he immediately snapped out of his cultivation. Cai Er, Long HaoChen called softly, quickly getting up and approaching her. Cai Er slowly opened her hazy eyes, looking at Long HaoChen with a dazed expression and then around her, suddenly grabbing Long HaoChen's wrist and saying, Why can't I remember anything? Who am I, exactly? Where am I again? Long HaoChen said softly. You are Cai Er, and I am Long HaoChen. Due to the awakening of your abilities, you temporarily lost your memory. Don't worry, everything will be okay. I will help you recover your memory. Cai Er shook her head vigorously, grabbing her crystalline gray hair, her exquisite face filled with pain. I really can't remember anything. It's so sad, so sad. Long HaoChen felt a pang in his heart, unable to resist pulling her into his arms, but Cai Er suddenly recoiled, pushing him away abruptly, her hands crossed over her chest. What are you doing? Long HaoChen hurriedly said. Cai Er, don't be afraid, I won't do anything. Just accompany you, okay? Take a moment to calm down.